in economy and environment, he did make a statement on the recent acidic pollution that affected the Mwembeshi stream and Kafia River after the collapse of the tailings dam at Sino Metals, Lake Zambia, in Kalulushi district. The acting minister did update the House on the measures the government is putting in place to contain the pollution.
Thereafter, the House did consider one urgent question, which was question 253, understanding order 82, and the House also considered questions for oral answer, numbers 254 to 258, understanding order 80. These are questions of ordinary nature.
Thereafter, we did have resumption of debate on thanks the President's address. As you might be aware, members of Parliament are debating the presidential address. The President was here not too long ago. He did address the nation and the House on the progress made in the application of national values and principles, and some members of Parliament are actually debating this particular motion, and the House adjourned on Friday accordingly at 12:55 hours. And just about now we shift our attention to today's business, Joe.
Yes, indeed. Today's business is as follows. We rather expect 2 ministerial statements and of course 4 ordinary questions, understanding order 82, announcements if there will be any, urgent without matters if there will be any, and also the 2 ministerial statements.
So in brief, that's just an outlook of what is expected on the floor of the House, and as we wait for the Speaker's procession, we'll get into the details of what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House. Like my colleague mentioned, we do expect 2 ministerial statements. The first one is going to be the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development. He's going to deliver a ministerial statement on the statistics on the government's financial support to small-scale miners issued with mining licenses.
And the second one, the Minister of Finance and National Planning will issue a statement on the performance of the economy as of 31st January 2025.
After consideration of those 2 ministerial statements, the House will go on to consider questions for oral answer, understanding order number 80. There's 4 of them. The first one is expected to come from Ms. Nakaponda of Isoka. She's going to ask the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation whether the government has any plans to establish a commercial water utility company in Muchinga province for purposes of enhancing service delivery. In the other part of the question, the Isoka lawmaker also wants to find out when the plans will be implemented and what the time frame for the completion of the project is, and lastly, if there are no such plans, why.
Mr. Yota Mutayachala was question 260. He wants to find out from the Minister of Energy in 5 parts. In A, whether the government has any plans to resume the importation of electricity from Malawi to supply power to Chama and Lundaza districts, and in B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, if there are no such plans, why, and D, whether Zesco Limited was exporting electricity to Malawi as of November 2024.
Mr. Mulunda of Siavonga constituency is going to ask the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development a question in as whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate in Siavonga district. If so, when the plans, what the estimated cost of the project is, and if there are no such plans, why.
And of course, Mr. Remember Mutale Chitambo, Member of Parliament, to ask the Minister of Health in 3 parts in A, whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the Chitambo Mission Hospital, especially the theater, which is in a deplorable state, and B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, why.
All right. Those are questions for oral answer, understanding that will be considered on the floor of the House, and thereafter there's going to be resumption of debate on thanks the President's address. And at the time that the House was adjourning last week on Friday, the Kaombwe lawmaker Dr. Mwanza was actually on the floor of the House adding his voice to the presidential speech, and so we do expect him to finish off his thoughts, including other members of Parliament that are going to indicate to debate. So that's it. That's the business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today. 2 ministerial statements, one coming from the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, the other one will come from the Minister of Finance and National Planning, and of course we have 4 questions for oral answer, understanding order number 80. Joe.
Yes, indeed. So the motion on the President's address was moved by Kanchivia, Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the President's address. And this motion was seconded by Rwansha, Member of Parliament, Mr. Lusale Simbao. So we expect Members of Parliament to continue debating this motion.
All right, just about now, we take you straight to the chamber as we have, live pictures of members of parliament actually conversing with each other as they wait for the speaker's procession to make its way into the chamber. And of course, at adjournment time, my colleague and I will be here just to give you a recap of what will have transpired on the floor of the House. So live pictures coming your way on your television set, awaiting for the speaker's procession. Remember, business starts at 14:30 hours. And so I would urge you to stay tuned right here on the only station that brings Parliament closer to you. Good afternoon.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We want freedom's side, oh, one, strong and free. Let us all have people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry, dignity and peace is on their side, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God. Yes, a great land, and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments to the people, you to consider with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Order, honorable members, I have 4 announcements. The first one is, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from First Rate International Academic Center in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. Honorable members, I wish to also recognize the presence in the public gallery of students from Lungushi University Economics Association in Kapirimposhi District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. Order. Honorable members, the next announcement is that I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Munali Adventist School in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. The last announcement, honorable members will recall that on 4th March 2025, when debate on the motion of thanks to the President's address commenced, the House was informed that the backbenchers would debate the motion for 7 days, while the executive would respond in the last 3 days. In this regard, I wish to remind the House that the debate for the backbenchers will end today, and from tomorrow up to Friday, the executive will respond. I seize this opportunity to remind the executive not to leave the responses to the last day. However, if an opportunity allows, I will use my discretion as presiding officer to call upon the backbenchers to debate. I thank you. Urgent matters without notice. I see 3 indications. We start with the Honorable Member Fonkana.
Madam Speaker, my urgent matter without notice is directed to the Leader of Government Business, Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, sabotaging the economy is arguably the worst form of crime anyone can commit. In other countries, it's punishable by hanging, an example being in China. Madam Speaker, a single action or act of single sourcing a supplier of fuel has proved to have been an act of economic sabotage. That of the awarding of agro-fuel to supply fuel. Because, Madam Speaker, the opening of the access of that pipeline has revealed that the prices of transporting fuel were actually doubled evidenced by the reduction in the cost, rather, by half the price that was being charged by this particular company. Madam Speaker, is our honor the Vice President in order not to have come to this August House to inform the nation of what punitive measures are going to be meted on those officers from the Ministry of Energy that committed this sabotage against the Zambian people, which action led to what we are dealing with vis-a-vis the ever-increasing cost of economy or commodities of prices. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling as to why the Vice President shouldn't come to speak to us. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Fonkana. I suggest, first of all, Honorable Members, when we raise issues before the House, we must be factual, and these facts must be verifiable. The Honorable Member Fonkana has made serious allegations about sabotaging the economy. I don't know if he has any evidence to show that there was any sabotage, or he's making an assumption. But anyway, my ruling on the issue is that the Honorable Member Fonkana can put in a question, and the Minister responsible for energy will be able to provide the answer, as the issue does not qualify to be raised as an urgent matter without notice. The Honorable Member for Mitete, welcome back, and it's good to see you. You are okay now, it looks like.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. This matter is directed to the Minister of Finance. Like you've stated, Madam Speaker, it is a fact that this year, even to some of those of us who have fields, the crops are looking promising. The harvest is expected to be a bumper harvest. What is urgent about it is that there is a danger of briefcase buyers. How prepared is the Minister of Finance? How prepared is the Minister of Finance to buy? Madam Speaker, this is who are saying, they call that minister as Minister of Hunger. Now it's promising that Minister of Agriculture, is now going to come Minister of Feeding People. How prepared is the Minister of Finance to put finances ready enough to buy the promising bumper harvest? Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
Order, honorable members, let's make progress. I believe the honorable member for Mitete, I believe that the honorable Minister of Finance is coming later on the floor of this House to deliver a statement on the state of the economy. So you can ask that question if you want to ask it, but otherwise you can ask an ordinary question. The honorable Minister of Agriculture will be able to tackle it. But if there is going to be bumper harvest, we can only thank the Lord for the bumper harvest. So we can make progress. The honorable member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My urgent matter without notice is directed to the Minister of Community Development, but I can't say there. I'll direct this one to the leader of government business. Madam Speaker, social cash transfer and the other social security programs are meant to help vulnerable people in society to meet their basic needs. Madam Speaker, today is 18th March. These vulnerable people have not been paid social cash transfer January, February, which is putting a lot of difficulties for them to survive. Especially, Madam Speaker, that we had a devastating drought last year, which affected the household food security. So the delays in dispersing these monies are making our people stay for days without even having food. I'm just from the constituency where I've been there for more than 2 weeks. The situation is quite very bad. We don't even know when the people are going to be paid social cash transfer. So I seek your serious indulgence, because now it's members of parliament now who are receiving daily financial help from people, which is unsustainable, because we cannot manage to help each and every person who is affected. So I seek your serious indulgence. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chama. I know you were in the constituency the last week, because you used to join us virtually. But Honorable Member for Chama North, I think in such instances, as I've earlier guided, it's better to engage the Honorable Minister of Community Development to inform her that social cash transfer in Chama North is not being paid on time. So whether it's the whole country, it's better to inform the minister, because even if you come here, you raise a matter without urgent matter without notice, the minister comes after 2 days to deliver a statement. Would the money have been paid? It's better to engage. I always encourage honorable members, let's engage the ministers so that we can address the immediate needs of our people. So, Honorable Member for Chama North, the matter does not qualify to be raised as an urgent matter without notice. I suggest you explore other means to address the issue on behalf of the people that we represent. Thank you very much. We are usually allowed 3, so Honorable Member for Lundazi, unfortunately, our rules are rules, we need to comply with them, and we have a lot of business on which we need to attend to. I have permitted all the honorable members, can we reduce on the talking? I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development to present a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according me the opportunity to provide an update to this House and the nation at large on the statistics on financial support to artisanal and small-scale miners issued with mining licenses. On Tuesday, 25th February 2025, I responded to a question for oral answer before this House regarding the number of mining licenses issued in 2022 and 2023. During the proceedings, Honorable Madam Speaker, you guided that I should come back to the House with a statement explaining the statistics on financial support to the artisanal and small-scale miners issued with mining licenses. Madam Speaker, the artisanal and small-scale mining subsector has considerably grown in the recent past and is not only a source of livelihoods of our people, but also contributes significantly to the country's socio-economic development. Government has therefore identified this subsector to have a high potential to increase its contribution to the mainstream national economy, as well as revenue and wealth creation. In this regard, government has been implementing various efforts to unlock the full potential of the artisanal and small-scale mining subsector. This government has made strides in working tirelessly to develop the artisanal and small-scale mining subsector and ensure it contributes to the economy. Madam Speaker, through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development, government working with a multi-sectoral approach has undertaken measures to support the artisanal and small-scale miners in various ways in various ways. Some of the interventions being carried out to support the subsector include the following. A, access to finance to the artisanal and small-scale miners. Government has facilitated the formation of cooperatives to encourage formal mining operations. As of January 2025, 680 artisanal mining rights have been granted across the country. Formalization is an intervention by government aimed at providing technical services including access to finance, markets, and technology to artisanal and small-scale miners. To this effect, the Ministry has increased allocation towards the artisanal and small-scale mining activities meant to support the subsector from 52.1 million kwacha in 2023 to 131.4 million in 2024, which has been maintained in 2025. In addition, under the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, through the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, government has supported 28 artisanal and small-scale miners with funding varying from 862,720 to 19,096,000. B, to support artisanal and small-scale miners access markets, the Ministry of Mines is constructing 2 gold marketing centers in Mumbwa and Rufunsa at a total cost of 19,200,000. The construction will be completed in 2025. The 2 areas have been identified as pilot sites due to significant gold mining activities taking place in the 2 districts. Further, my ministry has so far procured equipment ranging from washing plants to gold detectors amounting to 12.7 million kwacha to support artisanal and small-scale miners to ramp up their mining operations and increase production. A total of 85 cooperatives in Mumbwa and Rufunsa are expected to benefit from this intervention. In addition, to support the operationalization of the centers, Zambia Gold Company has been appointed as an aggregator to be buying gold from the formalized gold mining cooperatives at an attractive rate. C, licensing. To streamline the application processes, a self-service online mining cadastre system has been introduced. The system is meant to provide an online platform for the application for mining and non-mining rights to be processed in real time, thereby addressing the challenges of delayed processing of applications and reduced human interface by artisanal and small-scale miners. D, capacity building and training. To enhance the sector, the Ministry, in collaboration with stakeholders such as Zambia Environmental Management Agency, has been conducting capacity building programs for miners. These programs focus on basic mining methods, skill development, health and safety, and environmental protection. To date, the capacity building and training program has covered a number of districts such as Rufunsa, Mumbwa, Rusangazi, Kalomo, Mpika, Chibombo, Chisamba, Vubwi, among others. Madam Speaker, there are also ongoing policy, legislative and institutional reforms aimed at reorganizing the artisanal and small-scale subsector. Policy reforms include formalization of the subsector, which is currently being implemented across the country to increase participation of local people in the mining value chain. Legal reforms include repealing and replacement of the Mines and Minerals Development Act No. 11 of 2015 to unlock the potential of the artisanal and small-scale miners, and institutional reforms to set up a department under the ministry to oversee the operations of artisanal and small-scale miners. A fund dedicated to artisanal and small-scale miners is also in the offing under the ongoing legal reforms to ensure increased funding to the subsector to accelerate its growth. Madam Speaker, with collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme through African, Caribbean and Pacific European Union Development Minerals Programme, government has continued to support artisanal and small-scale miners Under phase 3 of this program, planned activities for 2025 include issuing of grants, equipment to women-led mines in the artisanal small-scale mining subsector, linking the artisanals to markets, large-scale mines through the supplier development program, and training to minimize accidents in the sector. Let me reiterate that government is fully committed that Zambians benefit from their mineral resources through increased participation in the mining sector. By addressing the challenges faced by the artisanal and small-scale miners, government seeks to realize the full potential of the subsector to contribute to the economic growth of the country. I urge all stakeholders, including financial institutions, mining associations, and development partners, to partner with government in supporting the growth of this sector. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development. The Honorable Member for Luansha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for the ministerial statement. Luansha would like to ask the Honorable Minister, as much as you have said you have given those licenses, the youths in Luansha are becoming difficult to hold back because up to now, you have not allowed them to go ahead. What is delaying Luansha to be allowed? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that question about Luansha. Licenses, Madam Speaker, have been given across the country. I'm not sure whether the artisanals that have yet been given in Luansha. We need to find out, except that we need to be careful also about some activities of our youths in Luansha, because some of them could have been badging into, areas that are already licensed to other mining companies. But I hear you, Honorable Member. Maybe we need to investigate if there have been applications that have been processed for artisanal miners in Luansha. Then we'll follow it up and make sure that they begin to operate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for the ministerial statement. Madam Speaker, when I was seated here, I couldn't fully understand why government would be so involved in a matter that should be spearheaded by private sector. But I got comfort from the minister when he was talking about stakeholders coming together to join hands with government. Honorable Minister, these resources you have talked about, like the Mumbwa Marketing Center, where we are going to spend close to 19 million, and Zambia Gold Company, which is a private company, which is supposed to be, of course, it's owned by government, which is supposed to be aggregating this gold together. Why hasn't your ministry encouraged companies like this to actually take the space in terms of funding of these projects, rather than directly coming from your ministry, when we are trying to encourage active private participation from small-scale mines, which will eventually also contribute to a tax base? Bearing in mind that ZRA, Madam Speaker, announced that out of 6,000 mines, only 7 are paying taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, as we ask, let's be precise to the point so that we can allow as many members as possible to ask questions. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that very important question. So this is what happened when we realized that the artisanal miners and small-scale miners were basically just working on their own. in 2021 when we took over. So there was a gap. So we did call the private sector, including banks, but you know that private sector wants to make sure that there is a model which they follow to make sure that they will also be making a profit out of it, because they don't engage just because they want to help. They engage because they want to have a return on their investment. So as government, we wanted to take the lead to formalize, because licensing is done by us, but we wanted to go a step further because the miners themselves, some of them lacked capacity to even approach financiers, even when they had documents like licenses. That's why you've seen that even President Hichilema is on record as having said, please don't sell your licenses. Government will try and guide you to speak to potential investors that you can JV with and be able to, actualize the potential of your licenses. So really, the private sector is now coming on board because they've seen that government is very serious, and that's why we set up those gold marketing centers. As a matter of fact, Honorable Member, government is not just throwing that money in a bottomless pit. There will be a return on that money because through Zambia Gold, already aggregation has begun in the areas where these marketing centers are being set up, even before they are officially opened. And the reports that are coming are quite encouraging, especially from the Mumbwa and Rufunsa areas. So really, government took a lead, but we've really been talking to various private sector players, including big mines, because we have said, apart from gold, even the small, the artisanals in copper, the artisanals in other minerals, we are encouraging the big mines to be able to offtake from them, go into an agreement with them, teach them also safe mining, empower them with equipment, and then offtake from those small-scale miners. So really, the private sector is coming on board, but also government wants to benefit from the gold because that money that we have released is not going into a bottomless pit. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Kwacha to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Mines. And also thank you, Honorable Minister, for that ministerial statement. Honorable Minister, there is a concern out there where one mine, you find there are two licenses that have been issued. What is your ministry doing to avoid duplication of licenses, to avoid also infight? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member for Kwacha. Yes, those things have happened in the past, but Madam Speaker, the cure to that is what we are doing now to digitize the system so that where there is a license, you can't lump another license on top of it because then the system will reject. So that is the cure to that problem. Yes, it's been happening, but I think we are trying to cure that problem. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you do recall that my question to the Minister is what prompted your office to direct the Minister to come with these statistics today. And with your permission, Madam Speaker, with your indulgence, I'll request that I'm allowed to ask two quick questions. I'll start with the first one, Madam Speaker, relating to the financial support, Honorable Minister, which we are giving to small-scale and artisanal miners. From your statement, you've indicated that there is money sitting with CEEC, where those that have got a business plan to do mining can apply. In the proposed law which we are debating right now before this August House, Madam Speaker, there's a proposal to set up a fund. I wanted to find out, Madam Speaker, are we going to create a fund which will be managed by your ministry, or once the fund is created, it will be assigned to the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, which legally, Madam Speaker, is supposed to handle empowerment funds? Madam Speaker, that is my first question, and if you do allow me, I can ask my second question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll use my discretion and allow you to ask the second question. But now let's allow the Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development to answer the first question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I think that, and thank you, Madam Speaker. This matter, Madam Speaker, is on the floor of this House and we'll be debating it under the Minerals, Geological and Minerals Development Bill. And of course, as a ministry, we have received guidance from the Ministry of Finance on how to proceed in that bill. So I think it will be made specific after technocrats have worked out the details on where that money would sit. So really, there was that issue, and we've been guided by the Ministry of Finance. So we'll give clarity at the appropriate time when the bill will be discussed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Before we forget about the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa again.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have indicated in your statement that there are funds that have been going to small-scale miners to support them so that when they get a license, they don't sell it, so that they're able to do the actual mining. Unfortunately, in your statement, you've not indicated whether that money is going towards equipment or we are giving them funds and then they are able to set up a company to do mining. Madam Speaker, is the Minister able to clarify what have we been giving these cooperatives? Because clearly we want them to participate in mining, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you noticed in the speech the speech I had mentioned the fact that we've procured gold detectors. We've also procured washing plants, which we are giving to these artisanal miners. We've discovered as a ministry, Madam Speaker, that if we give money directly to the miners, they may not use it for the intended purpose. So we want to be giving them this help in terms of equipment. At the ministry now, we are seated with gold detectors. We are also seated with gold washing plants. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bwacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And through you, Minister, you indicated that government has so far supported 28 artisanal and small-scale miners across the country. My question, through you, Madam Speaker, from which districts are the 28 artisanal and small-scale miners coming from? Or how is the distribution in terms of districts? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Member for Wacha, if you followed my speech, the 28 is supported by CEC, not the Ministry of Mines. So, but they are still artisanal miners. So maybe the details, Madam Speaker, could be extracted from the report for CEC for the specifics. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chama South, please get ready. You will come after the Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to take this opportunity, arising from what we saw in the press, to commend you, Madam Speaker, in your role as the chairperson or president of the Forum for Parliamentarians in the Great Lake region, the role you're playing to bring peace there, to encourage dialogue in the war between DRC soldiers and the Banyamulenge M23. Madam, I put that on record, that it's a noble role you're playing. Madam Speaker, my question to the Honorable Minister, my brother, hardworking minister, is he mentioned in there that amongst the funding to the SMEs was 12 million kwacha for gold detectors. Gold detectors. My question I want to ask him, is that facility for gold detectors available to the people of Chunga in Matero, where they found gold, but they need detectors to authenticate that gold. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and Honorable Member for Matero. Madam Speaker, we as government and we as a people, we must work with science and the technology and everything else. So when we hear that there is something that our citizens are grappling with, we go with science and technology to go and investigate what is happening. And our investigations have told us that that is basically iron ore and magnetite, and that's why they are when they are doing something, they see that their metals are being attracted to magnetite because that is what is being found there. So really, there is no need to give people gold detectors. The ministry has already been there through the Geological Survey Department, and there is really no gold there. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Maybe there is iron ore. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me first take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister of Mines and indeed this new dawn government. Indications are that KCM's life is actually extended for another 50 years because of the investment that is going into that sector, that mine in particular, and the production is increasing, and this is indeed the methodical way of doing things that Zambians are looking forward to. Honorable Minister, I want to find out, you've just announced that you've bought so many gold detectors. Chama is one of the districts that actually gold mining is happening at small scale level. What are the guidelines and procedures for cooperatives to have access to those gold detectors so that the people in Chifunda where gold mining is happening, people in Kanyelele, Chief Chivale, Chief Muliro in Chama North, the entire district should be able to access these devices? And how long does it take for them to be made available to our people? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Mungando, and we appreciate the words of encouragement. Madam Speaker, yes, we have procured gold detectors and some washing plants. The challenge, Madam Speaker, is these are quite pricey equipments, and that is why, may I tag on the question that was asked by the Honorable Member for Kantanshi. We are encouraging the private sector to come in because government may not be able to procure all the equipments for all the artisanal and small-scale miners. So we've tried really to encourage private sector to come in handy so that they can help us procure with that model that we are using, so that even people as far as Chama or Vubwi, all these areas have been reported with gold, Lusangazi, and other parts of the eastern province, in its northern province. Zambia is quite vast, Madam Speaker. And as such, Honorable Member, we are collaborating very well with the private sector, and I know that most artisanal miners in the long run are going to be helped with this equipment, which, Madam Speaker, will be treating as loans. It won't be free equipment. It will be modeled under a business where at a particular time they will be able to pay back in cash or in kind. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Since this is the month for women, I will allow the women that have indicated. We start with the Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Minister of Mines, Why has it taken so long for Nkombwa mine in Isoka constituents to be given licenses to small-scale miners? Because once this is approved, it will create more employment to our youths in the constituents. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Isoka and Madam Speaker. The issue of Nkombwa, that is a mine that, or a license that has been riddled with a lot of legal battles. And that is why this government has guided that we can't mine in court. It's a typical example of how mining in court can just destabilize an area and people are just fighting over a tenement without really actualizing the mining that should take place there. So we are working around the clock so that issues around the issue of Nkombwa are resolved. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Just 2 projects.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me a chance to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Mines. Though Madam had requested that you had given me chance when it was really burning during the time when we talk about matters without urgent public importance, because of the child who is being raped at the hospital in at UTH. It was really something that was burning. I appreciate this opportunity. Honorable Minister of Mines, the question that I have for you is you've indicated that you have some gold detectors that are sitting at your ministry. During the time for budgeting, you had indicated that you are going to do an aerial survey throughout the whole country, and you'd be in a position to advise exactly where the minerals can be found. Are you not doing a duplication of work where you did the aerial survey and now it is known where the gold is, and now you have procured these gold detectors to be used by small-scale miners? What would be your maybe statement in you using double expenditure? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Lundazi. According to our standing orders, we only take 3 matters of urgent matters without notice. So since you were the 4th, I could not allow you, and we have time. According to my program, we are supposed to finish all the questions by break time. So it doesn't mean that your matter can only be dealt with through raising an urgent matter without notice. You can explore other means of raising that matter. Now we turn to the Honorable Minister. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, aerial surveys, that's a holistic approach for the whole country, and right now, actually, they are targeted at Western Province, and reports are not yet coming. A gold detector, in fact, we procured that before the aerial surveys began. So a gold detector, you narrow it to, artisanal miners are basically a pick and shovel kind of operation. And that is why for them, that is the most handy tool as they are doing their operations. So really the aerial survey is looking at the whole country, and for it to reach even areas like Rufunsa, it will take time, maybe it's end of this year, because now we are concentrated on Block A, which is Western Province. So really, it's not a duplication, because that is targeted at, the artisanals, so that quickly they discover. In fact, gold detectors are better suited for what we call alluvial gold, which is gold which you just pick. It's different from ore, because the aerial survey actually will focus so much on the gold that is in ore. But for the alluvial gold, the gold detectors are the most handy tool to quickly discover that there is gold here. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Mwembeji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that statement. Minister, we have seen countries, a lot of countries, that where these metals are being mined, precious metals like gold, there's a lot of gangsters controlling the system. You are saying that you are going to be selling, people selling to the aggregator. What measure or measures have you taken in such a way that you are not going to create gangsters who are going to be getting the gold from other people and going to be selling to the aggregators and make creating a safe haven here in Zambia? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Honorable Jamba, and thank you, Madam Speaker. So the program that we are doing, the formalization program, as I stated in the statement, is multi-sectoral. As we are talking right now, we have, a combined security wing team dotted around who are checking, what is going on in terms of the mining of gold. So really, the issue of security comes at play so that we don't have militias coming up around those areas. Yes, indeed, gold is one of those, precious minerals that could cause that, but government has been proactive about it, and we have security wing, members of our security wings dotted around. They are there in Mombwa, you find them in Kasempa, you find them in Chingola. So we have made sure that, that is not allowed to take root. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Mwense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Minister, in your statement, I think you have covered quite a larger portion in terms of the support that government is giving to the artisanal miners in the gold mining sector. But, Madam Speaker, in one of the committees I used to sit on, the Committee on Economy, Trade and Labor Matters, at the time that we visited Lufanyama, and Minister, there is quite a lot of activity also in Lufanyama. One of their issues which they have is obvious to do with the financing for the procurement of the machinery. So what measures is your ministry taking other than supporting, our artisanal miners in the gold mining? What measures is your ministry taking in terms of supporting our miners, artisanal miners also in the Rufanyama area, those that are in, emerald mining? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, it's just that in our answering and in our formalization, really we are pronouncing so much the issue of gold mining because it's the one that has seemingly been very problematic in the recent past. But suffice to say that we also do a program around the Lufanyama area where there are emeralds and semi-precious stones. So, yes, we are very alive to emerald miners, very alive to manganese miners, lithium miners, all of them. It's across the board in terms of formalization. So we are referring to gold because it's been a little problematic in the recent past, but really our approach is to deal with all the small scale and artisanal miners. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for the brief and the straightforward statement. I want also to thank your ministry for giving license to the artisanal. Honorable Minister, my question is on those people who have got large exploration licenses, who are so difficult to give the licenses or the consent to the small-scale miners and also the artisan. What is your office doing to help those people so that they will be able to get the licenses also?
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member for Lufanyama. This is a matter that has been very problematic, Madam Speaker. Actually, this speaks to speculators, those that are holding 25 licenses alone or 50 licenses alone. They are basically speculators who are selfish, who don't want our people to access. And our ministry, thank God that this Parliament approved the Minerals Commission Bill, which is an act of Parliament, and through that, we are trying to limit the number of licenses which one person can get to 5. And those 5, one must justify. And if somebody is not working out their license, Madam Speaker, we are saying it's either you use them or we grab. You develop them into a mine, not sitting on them and not doing anything with them. The government will not hesitate but to get them back and give them to Zambians who are ready to use them. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lubansenshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your responses. I would like to first and foremost to thank you for coming up with that initiative. Now, I would like to find out from you, in terms of capacity building and sensitization, looking at these programs or initiatives are progressive. Now, how much sensitization are you doing as a ministry to educate our people, especially those small-scale miners, that there are these mineral detectors and other support that the government is providing? And furthermore, Madam Speaker, could you kindly share with us if these mineral detectors is for free for each and every small-scale miners who are trying to access this, so that the people can be able to know? I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, we are doing sensitizations. In fact, Madam Speaker, we have come up with what we are calling a manual, or that should be able to guide how, artisanal miners should be engaged by ministry officials. That document is sitting with us, and that is what they are using to be able to engage. And when you talk about detectors, we didn't say they are for free. We are modeling a business around that, so that when they get those things, they'll get them at the back of their minds. They must know that they have to somehow be recovered by the ministry. Like I said, it could be in cash or in kind. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We make progress. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning to present a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning. Her Honor, the Vice President may render the statement. Order, honorable members. Order.
I thank you. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to provide the House and the nation at large an update on the performance of the economy in January 2024 and the strides we've made in restructuring the country's debt. Madam Speaker, 2024 was a challenging year because of the drought. Despite the challenges experienced, the government has made notable strides towards ensuring the country remains resilient and sustain the growth which has been achieved a couple of years back. In 2024, we faced the most severe drought in living memory. This directly affected the agriculture production and electricity generation, which seriously affected the growth prospects of the nation. In addition, poor harvests meant that farmers lost incomes. The buying power of farmers, once they get paid, was consequently lost, meaning that businesses that benefit from purchases by farmers got adversely affected. Given the drought, the government revised the 2024 projections downwards for GDP growth to 2.3% from 4.8% announced during the 2024 budget presentation. Over the first 3 quarters of the year, growth averaged 2.1% per quarter. The economic performance in 2024 suggests that our economy is robust and resilient. Our efforts to revive the mining sector and place us on a trajectory to achieve the 3 million tons are beginning to pay dividends. To this end, in 2024, copper production from both large-scale and small-scale mining operations experienced a significant growth, exceeding the 2023 annual production by 12%. The total output for 2024 was 820,676 metric tons, compared to 732,583 metric tons in 2023. This performance was mainly driven by several factors, which include increased production at existing mines, actualization of investments and resumption of operations of some mines, and new production capacity. Apart from mining, positive performance in manufacturing, information, communication technology, ICT, and tourism was also recorded in 2024. Madam Speaker, agricultural production was understandably down due to the drought. Notably, maize production in the 2023-2024 season declined by 54.5%, from 3.3 metric tons in 2023 to 1.5 million tons in 2024. Products of other crops also declined. Madam Speaker, let me now touch on fiscal performance. During the review period, the Treasury collected a total of 152.6 billion kwacha in revenue and grants, surpassing the budgetary target of 1.45 billion by 5.6%. Tax revenue amounted to 118.8 billion kwacha, exceeding the target of 114.8 billion kwacha. Non-tax revenues totaled 30.1 billion, exceeding the target of 26.3 billion by 19.7%. This favorable performance is mainly attributable to a dividend from Bank of Zambia, exceptional revenues, and forfeited funds amounting to 3.2 billion kwacha. The grants received from cooperating partners totaled 2.4 billion kwacha, falling short of the target of 3.4 billion, which reflects an underperformance of 31.5%. Madam Speaker, on the expenditure side, the government spent a total of 197.8 billion kwacha, exceeding the target of 177.9 billion by 11.2%. The key expenditures included personnel emoluments, which was 53.3 billion, government operations was 10.9 billion, lower than the target of 17.8 billion. Debt service payments amounted to 65.4 billion, against a target of 38.9 billion. Of this amount, 46.5 billion went towards domestic debt payments, which included 7.5% to cover shortfalls and maturities. Additionally, 18.9 billion was released towards external debt service. Releases for transfers and subsidies amounted to 25.3 billion, falling short of the target by 27.8 billion. This underperformance was due to lower releases for the Farmer Input Support Program, with the remaining funds scheduled for release in the first quarter of 2025. The government released 10.4 billion towards social benefits, surpassing the target of 8.4 billion kwacha. This increase was due to higher releases on the social cash transfer, with over 3 billion provided by the cooperative partners. Following the drought, a total of 2.3 million beneficiary households were supported during the period under review. Very comprehensive, with about 60% of households covered during the period of the drought. On the monetary sector development, the average annual inflation rose to almost 15% in 2024, from an average of 10.9% in 2023. The rise is an effect of the drought experienced in 2024, which pushed up both the food and electricity prices. The exchange rate traded at 27.9 kwacha per dollar at the close of 2024, from 25.7 at the close of 2023, representing an annual depreciation of 8%. This was mainly attributed to subdued supply amid elevated demand pressures, made worse by higher imports of food and energy following the drought. On the external sector developments, as at the end of December 2024, preliminary data...
Sorry, Honorable Minister, if you could amplify your voice. The honorable members are saying the voice is too low.
As you can hear me, Madam Speaker, my voice is not normal today, but I'll try and raise the voice, yes. On external sector developments, as at end December 2024, preliminary data indicates that trade surplus narrowed to $1.3 billion from $1.4 billion at end of 2023. The outturn was explained by higher increase in imports than exports. The imports increased by 10% to $10 billion as at the end of December 2024, from $9.1 billion. Further, exports also increased by 8% to $11.4 billion as at end September 2024, from $10.5 billion. With these developments, the gross international reserves, in other words, foreign currency reserves, as at end December 2024, increased to $4.3 billion US, $4.3 billion US, which is equivalent to 4.6 months of import cover, from 4.15 billion as at end September 2023. This was on account of inflows, support from the World Bank and other supporters. Madam Speaker, we have had a debt problem in the country, and I now want to update you on where we are on debt restructuring. Allow me to address the issue as follows. As at end 2024, central government domestic debt stock, in other words, borrowing from within Zambia, decreased to 229 billion kwacha from 232 billion kwacha as at the end of 2023. Madam Speaker, external debt, in other words, borrowing from outside, as at end December 2024, stood at $15.4 billion from $14.6 billion as at end December 2023. The increase was on account of continued disbursements to social sector projects, largely from multilateral institutions, and the various tranches of the International Monetary Fund's support, notably under the IMF support. In June 2024, an additional 293 billion SDR, or roughly $386 million, was provided to the government in support of the severe drought that impacted our country. The publicly guaranteed state-owned enterprise external debt as at end of December 2024 decreased to $1.37 billion from $1.41 billion as at December 2023, and this was the result of continuing debt service payments by state-owned enterprises. In terms of the domestic arrears, we have made efforts to reduce them. The stock of audited and verified domestic arrears decreased to $77.5 billion as at end September 2024 from $79.8 billion as at end June 2024. We remain confident in the downward trend to continue in the subsequent years due to the strong commitment to clear the arrears. On debt restructuring, Zambia has achieved major milestones in its debt restructuring efforts. Of the $13.34 billion that was due for restructuring, a total of 90% has been reached in the agreement in principle with creditors. An agreement in principle refers to a mutual understanding between parties on the fundamental terms and conditions of a deal prior to finalizing the detailed legal documentation. This significant progress reflects substantial alignment on restructuring terms and demonstrates Zambia's commitment to resolve its debt challenges. The agreements cover bilateral, the Eurobond, and the commercial creditor categories, with each category achieving critical advancements towards long-term sustainability. In the bilateral category, Zambia secured a structuring agreement in June 2023 to approximately $6.3 billion, which was formalized through the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, in October 2023. This MOU established the framework for repayment terms and bilateral agreements. So far, agreements have already been signed with France and Saudi Arabia. On the Eurobond front, Zambia restructured $3.8 billion in June 2024, obtaining concessions worth $840 million, which has been cut off. For the commercial creditor category, Zambia has concluded agreements with the Paramount, Huawei Technologies, ZTE Corporations, and Credit Suisse. Debt service on the aforementioned creditors has resumed. Agreement in principles have also been reached with other key creditors such as Nedbank, Investec, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, AVIC, Bank Hapoline, Star Times, and China Development Bank. Madam Speaker, the government continues to engage the remaining private commercial creditors who are mainly privately owned companies, not by nature financial institutions. However, these engagements take time because the ability of private companies to provide concessions is constrained. As required under the Public Debt Management Act number 15 of 2022, and in line with information sharing and transparency, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning continues to publish quarterly debt bulletin which provide details of all the debt numbers. These structuring achievements are expected to yield substantial benefits, including improved credit ratings, enhance investor confidence, reduce Zambia's debt burden, increase fiscal space, and ability to support the country's broader economic recovery and resilience. In conclusion, it is common knowledge that 2024 was a challenging year for the Zambian economy. However, the government demonstrated exceptional resilience. In this regard, growth will most certainly be higher than what we had anticipated at 1.2% that we projected for 2024. As we get into the medium term, we expect the macroeconomic environment to also improve and grow the economy on an average of 6% per annum. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you.
Thank you very much. I notice the Honorable Member for Lunte is not here. He's the one who was anxious about this question, but I don't know what has happened. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning. The Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Thank you, Minister, for your presentation on the performance of the economy to the end of January 31st, 2025. Honorable Minister, everything you've said a lot of parameters, debt, inflation, and other things. I want to summarize it into the exchange rate, Minister. As at end of 31st, where your report ends, the exchange rate was 28 kwachas to $1. When the UPND government took over power on 12th August 2021, the exchange rate was 16 per $. And from 31st January to today the rate is at 29 kwacha per $. It keeps getting worse. The depreciation from August 2021 to end of January 2025 is 75%, Honorable Minister of Finance. My question is, it keeps getting worse 4 years later, and from your report to today, it has depreciated by 1 kwacha. Isn't that an indictment on you, Honorable Minister, that you failed this economy? You failed to improve this economy. Isn't it an indictment on the UPND government that you've totally failed to improve the kwacha? It keeps getting worse and worse. Can you confirm that or offer an alternative view? Will it get better in the next 1 year to 2026? Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Let's not debate, honorable members. There is so many other honorable members who want to ask questions, so let's be brief. The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me thank the Honorable Member of Matero is asking or insinuating that things have gotten bad and can only be worse in the future. And is basing his argument on the basis of the exchange rate, which they left at 22. The exchange rate had reached 22%, 22 quarter to the dollar when the PF left. But more importantly, Madam Speaker, more importantly, what has driven the exchange rate in the recent years? The answer is that the exchange rate moved from where we found it to now because the main source of foreign exchange, meaning the mining sector, was not producing enough foreign exchange. So the question is, why was the copper not producing sufficient foreign exchange? And the answer is the PF government closed 2 of the 4 biggest mining companies in the country. How did you then expect to have sufficient foreign exchange to stabilize the exchange rate? Now, Madam Speaker, the good news is that whereas they were closing the mines, this government is opening the mines. Whereas copper production was threatened and going down, now, as we heard from the Minister of Mines when he was here making a statement, copper production is going up. 2024, it went up. 2025, it will go up, reaching close to 1 million tons, something that they never achieved in the 10 years when they were in power. Madam Speaker, in spite of this, so I can tell you confidently that with more foreign exchange coming, because the mines have been reopened, new mines are opening, bringing more foreign exchange, definitely the exchange rate, you can only expect stability, which they failed to achieve. And by the way, Madam Speaker, by the way, when they came in, and my colleague there, my young brother was the Deputy Minister of Finance, they found the exchange rate at 4.8 ngwe per dollar. 4 years later, 4 years later, in 2015, the exchange rate had moved from 4.8 to more than 10 quarter per the dollar. The same period that this government is in office. Now the issue is, do the percentage change in calculation? Do the percentage change in calculation? You can see that for them in 4 years, from 4.8 quarter to the dollar to more than 10, the quarter had lost more than half of the value in percentage terms. So, Madam Speaker, I think they should just be grateful that this government has come up to clean, to come and clean up where they made, I can't use certain words because of who I am, but they must be grateful that this government has come to clean what they left behind. And I can assure you that with all these investments, you can be sure that this country will be more prosperous than ever before. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Pika, please let's not debate while we are seated.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the Minister is being too simplistic in his responses. And I'm worried, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question is...
Order, order. Honorable Member from Pika. Order, order, order. Let's not evaluate the ministerial statement and the responses. Let's just ask questions to avoid controversy and unnecessary points of order. May the Honorable Member from Pika continue to ask the question.
I appreciate your guidance, Madam Speaker. But, Honorable Minister, you've referred to what the PF did as a mess. And under the same mess, prices of essential commodities, particularly fuel, food, and inflation, everything was very low, including minimum. Currently, prices of essential commodities have gone up, and inflation is standing at 16.5%. You won the elections on the platform of fixing it, and you've not fixed it. Why should the Zambian people continue trusting you when you have not fixed it? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. Madam Speaker, I thought I was clear in my explanations that we are fixing the economy. Fixing the economy means the mines, the main source of foreign currency that were closed, those have been reopened. That's what we call fixing. The miners in Chingola, the miners in Mfulira, the miners in Kitwe, Chirila Wombwe, who for 3-4 years had no jobs, now they have jobs. In Rwanda, jobs are around the corner. Mufumbwe, around the corner. This is what is called fixing the economy. Madam Speaker, let me address the issue of fuel prices that the colleagues has mentioned. Madam Speaker, yes, the prices was lower for fuel, but it was so because they were not paying the fuel suppliers. As we speak, Madam Speaker, as we speak, there is still a bill of more than $500 million that they were not paying. So they collected fuel from the suppliers. I never paid and pretended to tell the public that fuel is cheap. But on top of that, I think there's something that the colleague forgets about. As they were subsidizing fuel, they were forgetting that they were leaving the majority of the Zambians behind without subsidy. What I mean, Madam Speaker, is that as they were subsidizing the fuel, millions and millions of children out there were failing to go to school because their parents could not afford. But for the PF government, if children are failing to go to school, if children are failing to go to universities, if meal allowance of school children is taken away, for them it was okay. For this government, we have said, every child who is capable must go to school. That requires subsidy. For this government, for those students whose meal allowances were withdrawn, we have taken them back because it's important to build human capital. So it is shocking, Madam Speaker, it is shocking to understand how somebody today can boast and say they subsidize fuel when those who were really desperate to be supported by the government to take children to school school that has made most of us who are in this house to be where we are. I don't know about you, but for most, the majority here, we are in this house because of school. But for them, they didn't care. Let the children live there without education. So, the poor people were going to be condemned. The poor people were being condemned to perpetual poverty. They were very happy with that. And they thought they were making, they thought they were developing this country. It is impossible to develop a country without education, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pemba. Honorable Member for Mpika, you are going out again. No, keep to your seat and listen to the answers. Oh, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, your government
Honorable
found...
Member for Pemba, there is an indication from the Honorable Member for Matero for a point of order. Honorable Member for Matero, what's the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity. I stand in accordance to Standing Order 71, which states that information given in this House must be accurate information. The Minister of Finance on the floor area, he stated that when I was Deputy Minister of Finance in 2012, he hinted that the problem started there. It was wrong information because in 2012, the exchange rate was $1 to 7 kwacha. It was single digit. Honorable Minister, Madam Speaker, is the Minister in order not to dwell in giving this House wrong information, instead of confessing to this House that is very lucky because it did not implement the presidential directive that on that election day, the exchange rate should have appreciated by 14 hours. That did not happen. Is in order to mislead this House, Madam Speaker?
The Honorable Member for Matero has sufficiently debated his point of order. Can we make progress? The Honorable Member for Pemba may continue.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Minister, your government found this economy in the ICU. Honorable Minister, you have done a lot of work to restructure the debt. ZESCO had a debt of $1.2 billion. And I'm aware about 400 is remaining to be paid. Fuel over 800 million was owed. Honorable Minister, could you share with this House how much so far is remaining to be restructured of the debt that we found? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Maybe before I touch on the question, if I could have an opportunity to respond to the point of order that was raised. Madam Speaker, I think the answer is very simple. Honorable, go to the Bank of Zambia website. There is a publication called Fortnightly Statistics, where the data is available even from your phone there. If you can't find it, I'll find it for you and show you and demonstrate that. But truly speaking, Madam Speaker, this government has done a lot to reverse the problems that we found, as the Honorable Questioner was raising. You remember even the issue of the poverty levels in this country. We've just had the report of the World Bank on poverty in Zambia. where it indicates that Zambia was the sixth poorest country in the world. But what people are forgetting to look at is that that report, which depicts the poverty in Zambia, was for the period 2015 to 2022. Now, 2015 to 2022, you can see that most of this period was under the PF government. So the poverty that we are referring to in the World Bank report is poverty that was manufactured by the PF government. So this is why, when we reopen the mines, when industry come back to life, I'm absolutely positive that the next report that we are going to see will see an improvement. As for the issue of ZESCO, the debt that has been restructured, I think in my statement I said that 10%, in fact slightly under 10% is what remains to be restructured. More than 90% has been restructured. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi. After that, the Honorable Member for Chama South, you have indicated, please get ready. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, once again. Honorable Minister of Finance, thank you very much for your detailed statement. Indeed, you have been able to do your best under the circumstances, but I wanted to find out from you, Honorable Minister, some of the positive outlooks you have given us. Our Bank of Zambia reserves increasing, all these debt repayments that you have been negotiating. You agree with me, yourself and myself and everybody here. The people that vote for us do not understand these statistics at all. They want to see a cheaper price of a bar of soap, a cheaper price of sugar, a cheaper price of cooking oil. And the interesting part, Madam Speaker, is these products are produced in Zambia. When is government going to sit with these companies to try and come up with some win-win situation? On one hand, you are doing your level best to manage the fiscal space. On the other hand, we need to have cheaper products on our shelves and back into our homes. Is there anything that the government is thinking of? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member from Pika, you may step out. You need to go and consult. It's okay. At least you have listened to some few answers. The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for that question. You are right. The ultimate for people enjoying their well-being. There are two aspects, there are two answers, or two in part answers that I want to give you. The first part is to inculcate a spirit of knowledge and acceptance in our society that living well comes from production and hard work. If we give an impression to people that living well can just come miraculously, then we are not being fair to them, because there is no government that is going to be able to make life comfortable unless the citizens themselves are able to put something on the table. Hard work, hard work, hard work. Now, this is where now the actions of the government become relevant, because where a mine was closed, where a mine was closed, meaning that an individual had no income, an opportunity is made to get the mine to reopen, so that the person who could not afford to buy bread, vegetables, and so forth, because now they are earning something, they'll be able to improve their lifestyles. So opportunities such as reopening the mines, opportunities such as those that come from the various manufacturing that is taking place. Honorable, take a drive one day on this Mungwe Road, toward Mungwe Road to the Breweries Road in Saka. See the big complex that is emerging there, and the new satellite town that is developing there, surrounded, around their fertilizer plant. We've said before here, Zambia used to import fertilizer, now we're exporting fertilizer. Yeah. These are the opportunities that I talk about to give people ability to work. Molongush Textiles in Kawe, and many others. So, yes, the first thing is to provide opportunity for people, earn money, then they improve their living standards. Rather than cheat, or rather than pretending to people, you make their lives to be comfortable when there is nothing that they are producing. That is not real anywhere in the world. Secondly, we have to accept that getting everybody to work will take time. Okay? I do accept that. It will take time. We are doing everything possible to attract investment, to get people to work, but it takes time. In the meantime, what happens to those who are outside work? How do they live? This is where now you must look at the social programs that this government has put in place. Because these social programs are also putting money in people's pockets, help them to live. For example, the social cash transfer for the vulnerable old people, the lame, and the young people. The Cash for Work program, Honorable, the Cash for Work program, that has hired so many people to do useful work in their communities. People are earning money into that. And that is the intervention of government to say, while it is taking time to create jobs, what is the stopgap measure that we can put in place so that people have a livelihood? The CDF itself, the loans that are being given out, the grants that are being given out, even the business opportunities. Madam Speaker, if you go to a place like Kalawos, Kasempa, and so forth, the small businesses, those selling at the market, the amount of business they are doing, they've never seen it before. Why? Because when a constituency gets so much money for CDF projects, all of a sudden these people who are selling roofing sheets, who are selling cement, who are selling building materials, the people who were not working before, now they are busy working in these places. Those who are building, those who are making desks. Madam Speaker, these are opportunities that have been given to people, especially in rural areas, but even here in urban areas, to get them to work, to earn money. And you know what? These opportunities were not there before this government. These opportunities were not there before this government. How much money was going to Liua? 1.6 million for Kalabo Central, 1.6 million to Liua. Total 3.2 million. Today, between the two constituents in Kalabo, we are getting more than 70 million. And this is 70 million being spent on the people in Kalabo. That is the same in Kasempa, same is in Katete, same is in Chipata. It's everywhere in the country. This is the way the government should work in terms of enabling its citizens to do something and get a livelihood instead of throwing away money. You remember the money, the dollars, the kwacha that people were putting on fire to show who can bend the amount of money. That was happening because those people did not work for that money. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South is he there? If he's not there, then the Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Minister indicated about debt restructuring. I want to find out, Minister, if the government has got plans and strategies to negotiate further with our creditors for debt cancellation, riding on the fact that debt cancellation has happened before, the time of the late President Mwanawasa, when you, our able Minister of Finance, was a minister in that office, and you are, even now. And riding also on the fact that His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Chilema has demonstrated the fight against corruption, which was the basis for debt cancellation. Even now, that it's possible that we can have debt cancellation. I want to find out, do you have the strategy, do you have the plans to negotiate for debt cancellation and not just debt restructuring? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Indeed, when the process started, there was effort to go in the direction of debt cancellations, but that can only happen with the cooperation of the creditors, which was not possible in this instance. However, we've since learned that the Catholic Church, which was very instrumental around 2005 to campaign for debt relief, that was granted to us under HIPIC. I understand they are making efforts to revive the discussions. We welcome that, and we wish them well. We're ready to provide all the support that they may want to make this into a reality. Beyond that, Madam Speaker, we can only wait and see what happens. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Mbavala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for that very excellent statement that has shown the progress being made in the growth of our national economy. Honourable Minister, we are glad that we are making many positives in growing our economy, away from the slumber times of the negative 2% failure during the previous PF regime, because we were in the negatives, and now we are in the positives, and we are experiencing this even in our constituencies, where you have managed to help us build 50 to 100 million economies in a constituency, based on what we are getting from CDF, cash for work, social cash transfer, and many other empowerment programs which you are giving us. These are really adding a lot of value and making us have those transactions and grow everybody. Now, my question is, given these positives and growth, Honourable Minister, in line with growing the social sector, are you today, as we are celebrating World Social Work Day, Madam Speaker, and celebrating social work force in terms of improving the welfare of Zambian citizens, are you considering, Honourable Minister, increasing the number of beneficiaries under FISIP so much that we can be able to empower more small-scale farmers in our villages, everywhere in Smaobi, Mpinda, Mangunza, Mapanza, Macha, etc., in Mbabara constituency, so that we can grow more food. As we know, the revolution of this New Dawn government is everywhere, and we need to ensure that we eradicate hunger forever by growing, having
Honorable
more
Member from
small-scale farmers.
Bavala, is it debate time or asking questions?
Madam Speaker, I'm praising this excellent work
No,
done
yes.
by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning. This is the best we have got as a country.
Order,
Madam
Honorable Member, if you want to do that. Order, Honorable Member.
So I just ask the
Order,
President.
order,
Yes, Madam Speaker.
order.
Okay. No, I thought you were standing, Madam Speaker.
Order. If the Honorable Member wants to praise what the government is doing, he can move a motion.
Okay.
But for now, please ask your question.
Thank you.
May the if the Honorable Member has asked, may the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning answer.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for that question. I think this is a topic for discussion. The budget session is coming later this year. As members of Parliament, we can express our views and ultimately we'll come to an answer. But I want to thank you, Honorable, for your encouragement, and indeed, I think the economies of most rural areas, when you combine what goes in the CDF, when you combine the cash for work, combine social cash transfer, indeed, these economies out there in the rural areas, they've seen the best part of their lives since independence, I would say, because of the amount of money going there. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Because of the manner in which members were asking questions, we only are able to have 6 honorable members asking questions, and the list is still long. Honorable members wanted to ask questions, but unfortunately, when the answers were being rendered, some honorable members who were really anxious to listen to this were not in the House. I don't know where they are listening. So when it's Her Honor the Vice President's question time, we don't want to hear a repeat of cost of living, because that will be repetitive. Unfortunately, we have to go to the debate. As you know, honorable members, I had indicated that today is the last day. So I wanted to have more time after break for honorable members to debate. So right now we are behind time. We still have 4 questions, but since these questions are constituency-based, we'll move very fast on this segment. So we go to the next item, which is question for oral answer, understanding order 80. The honorable member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the people of Isoka to ask question 259. I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Nakaponda asks to ask the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, A, whether the government has any plans to establish a commercial water utility company in Muchinga province for purposes of enhancing service delivery. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what the time frame for completion of the project is. And D, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, in response to the question asked by Honorable Nakaponda, I wish to inform members of this august House that A, at present, government does not have immediate plans to establish a separate commercial water utility company for Muchinga province. The House may wish to note that Muchinga province is serviced by Chambesh Water and Sanitation Company, which was created in 2003 as a joint venture of 12 local authorities from both northern and Muchinga provinces. Government is prioritizing measures to enhance the efficiency of Chambesh Water and Sanitation Company by implementing a recovery program under the supervision of NWASCO, which is aimed at strengthening financial viability, improving operations, and addressing service gaps within the existing CU structure, commercial structure. B, as indicated in A above, government does not have immediate plans to establish a separate commercial water utility company for Mchinga province. C, Madam Speaker, since government does not have immediate plans to establish a separate commercial water utility for Mchinga province, there is no defined time frame. However, for the comfort of the Member of Parliament, ongoing infrastructure investments under the ADB-supported Integrated Small Towns Water Supply and Sanitation Project are expected to enhance service delivery in Mchinga province. Additionally, government is exploring decentralized institutional arrangements within Chambeshi Water to ensure that districts in Mchinga have a greater degree of operational autonomy, thereby improving efficiency without basically compromising financial sustainability. D, Madam Speaker, the decision, and Madam Speaker, I have several reasons to advance to the Member of Parliament, and these are very, very important because we have been receiving a lot of questions on this subject, and maybe I will answer comprehensively but very quickly. Madam Speaker, the decision not to establish a separate commercial utility for Mchinga province at this time is based on a comprehensive financial and economic assessment which identified several challenges. Now, Madam Speaker, this is not only for Mchinga but for many other utilities, many other provinces. One, the revenue loss and financial instability. A demerger would lead to a 3% reduction in revenue for Chambeshi Water and a 34% reduction in its customer base, significantly affecting financial sustainability. Two, Madam Speaker, increased dependence on government subsidies. The new CU, like many other CU which other people would want to created, would have an operational cost coverage of only 38%, making it heavily reliant on government grants and subsidies to sustain operations. Three, Madam Speaker, reduced efficiency and service delivery. The new CU would start with a small customer base, limiting its ability to achieve economies of scale necessary for sustainable operations. Four, challenges in attracting qualified personnel. Because of the limited revenue generation would make it difficult for the new CU to offer competitive conditions of service, thereby affecting its ability to attract and retain skilled personnel. And lastly, we have lessons from the newly created Rwapula Water and Sanitation Company, Madam Speaker, whose experience has shown that rural CUs require a substantial income base to sustain operations. And to date, Madam Speaker, this new CU still struggles to meet its obligations, including salaries and statutory obligations. Given these challenges, Madam Speaker, government believes that a more viable approach is to strengthen Chambeshi Water and Sanitation Company whilst ensuring that districts in Mchinga province receive targeted support to improve service delivery. We're also promoting decentralized operational arrangements within Chambeshi Water, which will provide a sustainable alternative without compromising financial stability. Government, Madam Speaker, remains committed to enhancing water supply and sanitation services in Mchinga province and will continue to engage stakeholders to explore the most effective solutions to address service delivery challenges. Madam Speaker, this is not only for Chambeshi but for the other water utilities. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, Mchinga Province wants the establishment of the commercial water utility company in the province because of the following. Decision making is a challenge since headquarters is in Northern Province. So each time when we have problems, they take time to answer our problems. Number two, there is also delay in responding to major problems faced by the people in Muchinga province, particularly in Isoka constituency, where people stay 5 months without water. Honorable Minister, you have said there is no immediate plan to establish utility company. When are you likely? Why can't you make a short plan so that you help the people of Muchinga province and the Isoka constituency? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water and Sanitation.
Let me thank the Member of Parliament for those quality questions. I think you are spot on, Honorable Member of Parliament. Maybe for your comfort, for the comfort of the Member of Parliament, Madam Speaker, is to state or even reminder that this water utility, Chambeshi water utility, is owned by the local authority in the two provinces, so you own it. That's number one. Number two, I understand the operational deficiencies as a result of the headquarters being in Northern Province. But in my response to your question, I clearly stated that we are going to support decentralization. So meaning that in Muchinga Province, Chambeshi Water will have a complete office in there. In fact, they have a complete office, and we're going to ensure that we support that office, number two. Number three, Muchinga Province now is being supported to improve not only the intake capacity, the treatment capacity, but also the distribution capacity. So more and more customers will be connected in Muchinga Province. Further, Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament must be comforted, because soon and very soon you'll see operational efficiency increasing, because we are going to support Muchinga Province more and more. I think one of the issues the commercial utility has brought to us is the issue of transport. We'll support them so that the response time to problems is also improved. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kanchiria.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Honorable Minister, I have one headman who's watching you right now from Kanchiria constituency. And interestingly, he sends a question and says, does the government have plans to empower local authorities with the necessary resources and capacity to enhance